We say we want to heal, but when healing begins, it doesn't feel like healing. It feels like breaking, like regressing, like falling apart. And that's the contradiction no one warns you about. Healing is supposed to feel better. But the truth is, it usually feels worse before it ever gets better. Because healing isn't soft, it's surgical. It doesn't soothe, it exposes. It doesn't give you peace, it gives you pain with meaning. And if you don't understand that, you'll walk away from your own growth, thinking something's wrong, when in fact everything is finally starting to align. When people begin to heal, really heal, they often say things like, I feel numb, I feel lost, I feel like I'm going backwards. But here's the truth, that is progress. Because healing isn't just about feeling better, it's about facing what you've avoided. And that means dragging all the buried pain back to the surface, where it can be seen, understood, and integrated. Marcus Aurelius wrote, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. But let's be honest, revoking your attachment to suffering isn't instant. It takes a complete rewiring of how you relate to pain itself. Imagine a forest after fire. Everything looks destroyed. But the burning wasn't death, it was transformation. The undergrowth is cleared. The soil is richer. But for a time, it just looks like ashes. That's what emotional healing looks like too. Burned landscapes, blackened roots. Nothing beautiful, yet, but the foundation is clearing. Carl Jung said, people will do anything no matter how absurd to avoid facing their own soul. And pain, the kind you've carried for years, is usually buried in the part of you you've spent a lifetime avoiding. That part? Jung called it the shadow, the rejected self, the part that holds your wounds, your rage, your shame, everything you were taught not to feel. Healing means you have to go there, into the shadow, into the exact part of yourself you swore you'd never revisit. And that's why it feels like regression, because the process takes you back before it moves you forward. You remember, you feel what you've suppressed, you sit in it, and the world calls that backsliding. But the Stoics would call it awakening, because you can't build something stable until the foundation is exposed. And what is more foundational than your suffering? Epictetus wrote, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. He wasn't minimizing pain, he was reframing it. Because pain isn't just something to endure, it's a compass. It points you toward what's unresolved, what's unfinished, what's still shaping your choices without your awareness. But here's the problem. Pain doesn't speak in logic, it speaks in patterns. You sabotage the relationship before it becomes real. You lash out when you're scared, but call it control. You isolate, but tell yourself you're just protecting your peace. These are all symptoms of unintegrated pain. And healing means calling yourself out. No more excuses. No more avoiding the truth. You sit down with your pain and you listen. That's stoicism. That's Jung. That's discipline. Not the ability to suppress pain, but the willingness to feel it without flinching. One of the most terrifying aspects of healing is that it feels like you're losing control. Your emotions spike, your energy crashes. You start crying over things that happened 10 years ago. You second-guess everything. But here's the truth. You're not breaking down. You're finally taking your hands off the dam you've been holding up for years. And yes, it floods. Yes, it overwhelms you. But that's what release looks like. Think of a cracked suit of armor. You wore it to survive, it kept you safe, but now it's heavy, it's rusted, it doesn't fit who you're becoming. Healing means removing that armor, not because you're weak, but because it's time to move without it. You'll feel exposed, vulnerable, unstable, and that's exactly what freedom feels like at first. Most people think healing means becoming calm, confident, and emotionally together. Eventually it might. But first, it means becoming honest, brutally honest. It means saying, I was hurt and I haven't let it go. I've been acting strong, but I'm exhausted. I've been blaming others because I'm scared to face myself. That's real strength, not the image. the effort. Marcus Aurelius didn't tell himself comforting lies in meditations. He wrote down hard truths. He confronted his own weakness daily. And that's what you have to do too. You don't escape pain by fixing everything around you. You escape it by aligning with it, by asking, what is this pain trying to teach me about who I am and who I refuse to be? If you think healing will happen in a straight line, you're going to feel defeated very quickly. Healing is not a staircase, it's a spiral. You will revisit the same wounds from new angles with deeper understanding. And every time you do, you'll shed a little more of the weight. You'll face the same pain, but with more honesty, more tools, more wisdom. What once broke you now just makes you pause. What once owned you now just passes through. That's growth. Not the absence of struggle, but your increasing capacity to face it without being destroyed. So no, healing doesn't feel like healing. It feels like confusion, like chaos, like breaking everything inside just to put it back together the right way. But that's the path. It's supposed to feel like that. Because what you're doing isn't cosmetic, it's structural. You're not decorating your pain. You're dismantling it, rebuilding yourself from the ground up. And that takes time, discipline, and above all, courage. Not the loud kind, but the quiet kind. The kind that shows up in the dark when no one is watching and says, I will face this, I will feel this, and I will not run from who I am becoming. Because in the end, healing is not about becoming perfect. It's about becoming real. And that takes more strength than most people are ever willing to find. But you just started.